whatbugsme? Door-to-door salesman and high-pressure sales tactics.
A fabulous bird reborn from the ashes of its earlier life.
How dare you, insect? How dare you interrupt my ascendance?
High-pressure door-to-door sales tactics has no place in pest control. Does anyone like someone knocking on your door trying to sell you something you didn't know you just had to have or can't live without? If you don't buy, Mr. Chicken Little says the sky's going to fall on you? No. Nobody likes it, except for the elderly widow that has no family and is lonely and just wishing for somebody to talk to. That's who they get, and that's wrong. I had a customer 25 years ago when I was green who told me she didn't want her house treated, just to sit right there and she would get me a check. At first I thought, cool, no work and getting paid. Then I realized she just wanted someone to talk to. She had no family, her husband had passed away, and no one to visit except the bug man. I refused the payment, and like the beautiful southern belle of a woman she was, she refused me back, shoving the check in my shirt pocket. So I sat and talked with her for a while. I've never forgotten that interaction and how it changed how I think about our elders. She passed away not long after that, and that experience is seared into my brain forever. So let's talk about door-to-door sales tactics, what to look for, and what you can do about it. A no soliciting sign doesn't even stop these people. And there unfortunately is no do not knock list, kinda. We'll get into that. Even if there was, they would just ignore it anyway. I have many friends in pest control that these idiots will knock on their door and try to pitch to them with their bug truck in the driveway and them in uniform. They don't care about the customer, only the sale. So here's what to watch for. If the salesperson is using high pressure or aggressive tactics to make you buy their product or service, it's a red flag. When I started Phoenix, one of the things I refused to do is be a pushy salesman. Nobody likes it, and it only works on weak-willed people and seniors and widows that may not want to be rude to the nice young man. Look for identification. A legitimate business will usually have proper identification, such as a company logo, a business card, or a written contract with their contact information. Ask for their ID and take a picture of it. If the salesperson does not provide this information, along with a certification card that looks like this, and a business card, tell them to go pound sand. Be wary if a salesperson seems hesitant or avoids answering your questions about the product or the service. This can indicate that they're hiding something or they have no clue what they're talking about because they are only there to sell, not to fix your bug problem. Unrealistic promises. Be cautious of any promises that seem to be too good to be true, such as extremely low prices or guaranteed results. Since they aren't certified and likely have never killed a bug, they have no clue how to answer the technical questions you may have. They default to promising the moon. If your salesperson is pushing for immediate decision making, that's a problem. Legitimate businesses will typically give you the time to review and consider their offer before making a decision. We do that too. We give you time to talk to your spouse, check your finances. We even encourage you to compare us with other quotes. Don't scare me. I know we're the best and the most knowledgeable. We're bug geeks. These jokers are spray jockeys and paycheck getters only. If the salesperson is pressuring you to act immediately without giving you time to think about it, could be a sign of a scam. So this next one's pretty bad. They're requesting personal information that they shouldn't have. Be cautious if the salesperson asks for personal information such as your credit card number or social security number without providing a legitimate reason. That's simply scam territory. They should have a legitimate credit card swiper or a customer portal you can access through an official website that you can look at on your own. A lot of times these guys will give you vague details. If the person can't provide specific details about their product, service, pricing, or terms or conditions, it could indicate that they are trying to hide something. Ask specific questions and don't stop unless you get specific answers. A lot of times these guys have a lack of proper paperwork too. A legitimate business should provide you with written documentation such as a contract or receipt detailing their offer and terms and conditions. If the salesperson refuses to provide this paperwork or gives you an incomplete document, it could be a sign of a scam. One other thing is if they say, oh, if you say yes to whatever they're trying to sell you, say, oh, well, let me go get my manager and he can do the paperwork. That's a exact indication that they are not certified and what they're doing is illegal, and they got to call in the real people instead of the cronies that they are. Depending on what you need for your home, the costs can be cheap to very expensive. It just depends on what you need. But if you have a high upfront cost for something that is normal pest control, be cautious. If they ask for that money up front before they even start scheduling or doing paperwork or anything like that, that could be a scam. Don't fall for non-refundable fees. Legitimate businesses will usually offer a refund policy if you're not satisfied with their product or service. If the salesperson refuses to offer a refund, it could be a sign of a scam. It is hot today. So Tennessee law, let's talk about that. The current door-to-door sales regulations in Tennessee are governed by the Tennessee Consumer Protection Act, which is enforced by the Tennessee Division of Consumer Affairs. This act requires door-to-door salespersons to provide a certain disclosure and gives consumers a cooling-off period to cancel a contract without penalty. Door-to-door sales law, Tennessee Code annotated 47-18-101 to 47-18-109. This specifically addresses refunds and returns for products purchased through the door-to-door sale. Specifically under the Act, door-to-door sellers must disclose their identity, permit number, the purpose of their visit, and a description of their goods or services. They must also inform consumers of their right to cancel the transaction within 3 business days to provide a written receipt with contract information for canceling the sale. Door-to-door salesmen must get a signed contract before any payments are charged. The Tennessee Consumer Protection Act, which makes it unlawful for businesses to engage in deceptive or unfair trade practices, including misrepresenting the nature or quality of goods or services. And so here's what some of the laws talk about. The Solicitation Sales Act requires door-to-door sellers to obtain a permit from the state before conducting any sales activities. This permit must be carried with them and presented upon request, so ask for it. In Tennessee, door-to-door selling is allowed between the hours of 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. It's not allowed on Sundays or holidays. So if they're outside those times, tell them to go pound sand. Door-to-door salespeople are also required to leave immediately if you ask them to do so, and they must respect any signs prohibiting solicitation on private property. They may not use any means of coercion or intimidation to try to make the sale. Now, they absolutely will ignore no solicitation signs. So point it out to them and tell them to leave. Or, I don't know about the legal aspect on this one, but I'd tell them you're going to have them trespassed. It's that simple. So this cooling off rule gives you, the consumer, a right to cancel a door-to-door sale within 3 business days of making a purchase if the total exceeds $25. The Home Solicitation Sales Act requires sellers to provide the consumer with written notice of their right to cancel a sale and other important information before the sale is consummated. The Do Not Call registry, which allows consumers to opt out of receiving telemarketing calls, also kind of sort of applies to I can't get a straight answer. And, it's government, so who knows what the real thing is. But you can at least be on that list to stop the telemarketing calls. Now, they're still going to come through. That's a whole nother subject. But at least you're on the list and you've got some teeth. So what happens if they don't do these things and they're bothering you? So these are some of the enforcement actions. The Tennessee Attorney General's office has the authority to investigate and take action against companies that violate consumer protection laws related to door-to-door sales. In Tennessee, pest control sales people are required to be certified by the TDA. So ask for that certification card. In most cases, they don't have it. One, because these companies like to hire Mormons from out of state for the summer, and then send them out to flood the neighborhoods with lies, but they'll be gone before you realize that you've been duped. By then, they already have your money, and you are past your time to back out of the deal. So some of the other laws, Tennessee has specific laws regulating door-to-door sales and the penalties and the requirements and all that kind of stuff. The Elderly and Vulnerable Adult Protection Act provides additional protection for seniors and other vulnerable adults against financial exploitation, including deceptive or fraudulent door-to-door sales practices. Check Mama's bank account for fraud if she got duped by one of these shysters. Door-to-door salespeople must register with the Tennessee Secretary of State office before conducting any sales activities in the state. This helps to ensure they are legitimate business operating in compliance with the state laws and regulations. Most of them aren't. Tennessee also has a no solicitation registry which allows residents to sign up to stop receiving unsolicited calls or visits from telemarketers and door-to-door solicitors. It's there, but they're not going to follow that. The state conducts educational programs to raise awareness about common scams and frauds targeting seniors, including those involving door-to-door sales tactics. This helps seniors recognize potential scams and protect themselves from becoming victims. Problem is they put that out on the internet and there's a lot of seniors that are the most vulnerable are not searching the internet for these things. So their family really needs to help get this information to them and educate them. If a senior or other vulnerable individual is approached by an aggressive or fraudulent door-to-door salesperson, there are procedures in place for reporting the incident to the appropriate authorities. This includes contacting local law enforcement or reaching out to the Tennessee Division of Consumer Affairs.
So what are the penalties if companies break these laws? The consequences for door-to-door sales companies or individuals who violate consumer protection laws in Tennessee can vary depending on the specific law that was violated, of course, and the severity of the offense. Possible consequences may include fines, civil penalties, restitution to the affected customer, and possibly criminal charges. In addition, the company or individual may also face a damaged reputation and loss of business opportunities. Repeat offenses could result in even harsher penalties. Now, this is all, what should happen. It's not in reality what probably does happen, okay? They know how to work around all this stuff. The Tennessee Division of Consumer Affairs maintains a list of businesses that have had complaints filed against them related to door-to-door sales, and you can find that at the link in the description. Consumers can also report any issues or concerns they have with door-to-door salespeople to the Division of Consumer Affairs. What else can you do? If a company continues knocking despite your posted sign, make a record of it. Document the time, the date, company name, salesperson's behavior. If you feel safe, take a photo of additional evidence. File a report with your local consumer affairs office or licensing department. TDA would be the one for pest control. Repeat offenders can lose their solicitation privileges in many cases. Now, whether that actually happens or not in Tennessee, we'll see. Because these people are, by the time that an investigation goes down and the government gets off their butt to do something about it, they're already out of state and gone. So how does that work? I don't know. You can always install a doorbell camera, so you don't even have to answer the door if it's obvious they're selling something. Especially if it's a scam, then they don't want to be on camera and they'll just leave. While at the same time, that video can provide valuable evidence for you. You can also call the company if they actually exist, if they're legitimate, if they'll even answer the phone. You can call them and complain. You can call your HOA and raise a stink. I don't know what they can do, but you can at least let people know what's going on so somebody else doesn't open the door or get scammed or anything like that. You can start a petition to ban door-to-door sales in your city or your area. You can contact city council, your mayor's office, all of these things. You can call the BBB. Not really going to help too much, but it's there. So who can help you? The Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance has a consumer protection division that works to protect consumers from deceptive and unfair trade practices, including those used by door-to-door sellers. They offer resources such as tips for dealing with door-to-door salespeople and information on consumer rights under the Tennessee Consumer Protection Act. Link in the description. The Better Business Bureau is a nonprofit organization that helps consumers find trustworthy businesses and avoid scams. At least that's what they claim. They're kind of a scam on their own. They are not a government agency, and they have a pay-to-play business model. They're worthless on my side of the business, but on your side as a consumer, you can at least file complaints with them, and they do some follow-ups with the companies to try to fix it. The Legal Aid Society of Middle Tennessee and the Cumberlands is a nonprofit law firm that provides legal services to low-income individuals in Middle Tennessee and the Cumberland region. They offer legal assistance to consumers who have been victimized by door-to-door sales scams or unfair trade practices. I don't know if they reach down here and work too, but at least somebody's doing something. There's also the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. That is a federal agency responsible for protecting consumers from unfair or deceptive business practices. Their website talks about consumer rights as well as giving you some guidance in dealing with door-to-door salespeople. The AARP Foundation also has resources to support the older adults who are having financial difficulties or challenges related to aging. And they've got some information on there with scams and how to deal with door-to-door sales and what to look for as well. You can always call your local law enforcement. If you don't want somebody on your property, that's your right. You can have them kicked off. And if they return, they can be in a lot of trouble. If you think you've come in contact with a scammer posing as a door-to-door salesman, please contact your local police office to report it. But here's the real deal. Often the best course of action is your local social media groups, like neighborhood groups on Facebook or Nextdoor. Here you can complain and warn others about these high-pressure sales tactics that may be coming to their door next, and give them the heads up so they don't get scammed. Listen, at the end of the day, if they're going to be dirty and slimy, they're just going to be dirty and slimy, and you have to know how to fight against them. I've had these people roll into a neighborhood in a van, and they deploy all the sales snakes to canvass all the homes,
And they've told my customers that I'm not local, I'm not licensed, and they're servicing our next door already, that they will never see a bug anywhere on their entire property ever, and that the deal is only for today only. Today's only deal, so you have to do it right now. They tell these and many, many other lies. This isn't ignorance. It is flat deception and lies. Don't fall for it. Now, I'm sure there are some legitimate door-to-door salespeople. I know they're going to be in the comments going, but it's a legitimate job, blah, 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 blah. Sure, you exist. I agree. So don't bother raising a stink on me in the comments. The reality is most of them aren't. But come on, in 2025, this is the worst way to drum up business. The optics are bad, and you piss off a bunch of people, and in some areas you might get shot. So why do they keep doing it? They must be making money at it to continue, right? Most of what they sell are to the gullible, the people who don't know how to say no, and the widows who are often lonely and just want somebody to talk to. That's dirty pool. No nice way to say it. That's just what it is. It's bad business. So if someone at your door is promising sunshine and roses, check your backside for escaping smoke. You want to bugs me? Door-to-door salesman and high-pressure sales. But I love to expose them. Whew, dodge that bullet. Back to the killing.
I wish you luck.
Killing me, Smalls.
You're dead, alright? Can I go now?
I stand upon my desk to remind myself that we must constantly look at things in a different way.